Yeah! If they see me, this could get messy. For yourselves! You bleeding dung! Have this! I've got your core! Get back here! We have the advantage! About us! Spread out! We have this!
Eivor!
Sail out!
Here's a tale to tickle your sides. Winter before, I was drinking in Stavanger with some companions. With us in the mead hall were men of Bard Jarl's clan, one of which was a poet named Halli, called Sarcastic Halli by most. 7 ale horns into his night, Halli stood upon his table and called across the room to another man, a skald named Tjodolf. Tjodolf, he yelled, I can compose a more beautiful poem with my belching than you could with your tongue and fine words. The room laughed. Tjodolf loudest of all. I accept your challenge, Sarcastic Halli, he shouted. Allow me to begin. Tjodolf then spoke this verse. Sad Halli drowns in horns of hubris, squeaking like a stoat, yet proudly the pup calls it poetry. The room laughed again, with Halli joining in. Then, Halli tripped across the room and opened his mouth to speak his verse. From his throat erupted a jet of vomit into Tjodolf's face. His only composition that night, of which he seemed most proud.
Sail down!
I shouldn't be seen here. A hood should work.
Itaque motorumque Gahunen for your relief! Hey now!
Who will share a tale?
A story from my youth. This one has no lesson to be learned or message to be gleaned. Often my father liked to take me on hunts in the forested lands east of Avaldsnes. I loved these solitary times with him. I had never felled a beast myself, and my father saw that this upset me. I was only a boy, but I had the dreams of being a man. So one winter, my father asked me to perform a bargaining ritual to the goddess Skadi to improve his bow skill and snow sight. With glee warming my heart, I cut a hare and sacrificed it to the goddess, asking in exchange of skill and sight for my father. When the ritual was done, my father and I set off into the forest. We hunted all day until night fell, and we slew no game. That night, around the fire, I was sullen. My sacrifice had not been heeded, yet seeing my sad face, my father only smiled. Had you been hunting for Skadi, there's only those who speak to her.
Let the sail out! Run up the sails! Sing us a song. We need an epic tale.
During my 19th winter, King Styrbjörn ordered the construction of a new longhouse. The splendid hall you now see at Thornburg. To build this longhouse, he employed the help of 20 men. I was among them, as was Frade, the strongest and stoutest man I had ever seen. We set about felling trees and hewing wood for timber. Frade was the fastest of us, dropping 41 trees in only 2 days. On the third day, a spindly man called Nar was near upon felling his first tree. He had hacked it all the way around like some mad animal. When the tree fell, it did so in a direction he had not wished. Straight down upon Frade. Nar called out, but it was too late. Frade had only enough time to turn and faced the doom bearing down upon him. With that, he raised his arms to embrace the timber hammer. The force of the trees falling drove Fradi deep into the snowbank, yet his arms never let go. He held that angry trunk as a lover. Like hounds, we scooped at the snow to reach him. We found Fradi 10 feet down, alive but in pain, still bearing the tree upon his shoulder.
More sail! Right up the tube. New Salzburg. Got a story?
To Fornburg and heralded, demanding to meet King Sigvald, Styrbjorn's father. Nal was from Gautland. She was tall and rugged and strong.
Can't raise the sail here.
Walked near her said she smelled of men's blood. When her message was sent to our king, Nal was made to wait a full day. Yet she did not complain.
Hush that. We fight!
Like the trust. Keep at the knitting. I smell silver here. Guard up till the curve lands.
Give me a hand! Right, let's get back to the ship. Hey! Right up to the sail!
the shadow.
What's this?
And disorder of the
Is there a
land.
cease called among you?
I knew a crazed man about my age called Roker, who we had taken to calling Roker the Rodent for his habit of collecting axes. For 20 years he collected axes of all make and size. He had never seen a day of battle, but he swore to Thor that he would. In his 31st year, after drinking too much ale, Roker seduced another man's wife. That man called a holmgang against Roker. Roker accepted the holmgang, and on the agreed-upon day, he laid out 12 of his axes and asked, "Which of these will I use to slay you? Will it be Bone Splitter?" he said. "My bearded blade inscribed with sage, or Blood Fountain," he continued. "My Dane axe, which swings through the air on 2 hands with the speed of an arrow's flight. Or might it be Twin Wolf Wounder?" Roker growled, growing even more bold. Fierce pair of throwing axes. At that moment, the man who had challenged Roker brought a large stone down upon his head. Roker died instantly, and his axes were given away as gifts.
Sailing is too risky now.
Drop the mast! Sail! Catch the wind!
When I was 11 winters old, I was the youngest of my favorite cousins. A wild and rowdy bunch of boys and girls. Together with our parents, we attended a feast at the home of Halfdan the Black of the House of Yngling. To toughen our patience, our parents set us with the old woman, who ordered us to bake flatbreads and serve it to the noble jarls. After an hour, the flatbreads piled so high into pillars, you could have built a roof over it and called it a longhouse. When our work was done, an older boy, Guthrod, suggested we steal a keg of mead and drown in happiness for our good work. So Guthrod, Mikkel and Åsa snuck into the storeroom and stole a barrel as I stood watch. But when we were spotted, I froze. 3 of Harald's men stopped us. They struck Guthrod and Mikkel and pushed Åsa to the ground. "Whose idea was this?" they asked. I stood and said, "The idea was mine. The mead is for me." One of the men eyed me and said only, "That is not true." Then, they moved on.
Sail down! More sail! Let's have a song.
Early should rise, he who seeks
We need an epic tale.
another. In my youth, I remember hearing the story of Kalda, a fierce young woman whose father forbade her from swordplay and raids. Kalda had skills to match or surpass any
Sail
man
out!
in the game. And so it was that her beloved Gapi asked her aboard his ship. Once again, Kalda's father forbade her to leave, calling her soft and weak and fragile. Kalda ignored these insults and left. For a full spring, Kalda and Garpi sailed the coast of Francia, raiding and plundering and taking much silver and riches. Then, in the early weeks of summer, a passing ship gave Kalda the news that her mother had died suddenly. Kalda was grief-stricken. Kalda returned quickly home, only to find her mother there, alive and standing quietly beside her father. Kalda was confused. Kalda's father spoke with a sour voice. I sent the tale of your mother's death, for you were insolent. But now you are home, where you must stay. Hearing these words, Kalda pulsed hot with rage. She slew her father and fled back to her ship, then set a swift sail for the horizon.